This man walks alone among the giants of golf. He is awesome. He is the king of professional golf. And during the 4 days that spanned the 62nd PGA Championship, more than 100,000 people attended his coronation. Jack Nicklaus had his family, an adoring gallery, and a 3-stroke lead at the final round of the 1980 PGA. Nicklaus won with a broad grin and his once again disciplined putter. His victory margin of 7 strokes would set a record as he conquered Oak Hill's exclusive layout. Jack's sensational 5th PGA Championship added to his 5 Masters, 4 United States Opens, 3 British Opens, and 2 United States Amateur titles, and brought his major championship total to 19, 6 more than Bob Jones, and light years ahead of anyone else, ever. Nicklaus became only the 3rd man to win the United States Open and the PGA Championship in the same year, and only he and Walter Hagen have had the audacity to have won the PGA 5 times. As Nicklaus hit his approach to the 72nd hole, one fact stood out. It had been 20 years since Jack had won his first major, and here he was about to chip up and par out for a record 7-stroke margin of victory. In 1979, the Golden Bear failed to win a major tournament. In fact, he won no titles of any kind. The man may be ready for retirement, experts whispered, but 1980 proved Jack was far from through. The 62nd PGA Championship capped another brilliant year for Jack Nicklaus. Indeed, the king was not dead. Long live the king. Professional golf owes much of its popularity to one thing: television. By presenting Sunday shootouts to millions of potential galleryites through the years, television has created a series of heroes. The first was Arnold Palmer. With a tip of his cap, the commander of Arnie's army brought his rabidly faithful following into a froth week after week as he boldly charged every shot. But this year at Oak Hill, in Rochester, New York, Palmer once again failed to win the one title that has always eluded him. As time eroded his once surgical putting stroke, the mantle of greatness gently slipped from Palmer's shoulders to those of a pudgy kid from Ohio State. Jack Nicklaus was not a hero at all. He was the outlaw who had gunned down the marshal at high noon. Now, all that has changed. Jack is an immensely popular champion. Characteristically, he had worked just as hard on his image as he had on the practice tee. Today, he is the monarch who owns a gallery the way Palmer once did. But like Palmer, Nicklaus has been challenged by the new gun in town, the dominant golfer of the late 70s, Tom Watson. When the redhead from Kansas beat the Golden Bear in 2 memorable head-to-head confrontations in 1977, he, not Nicklaus, became the man to beat. But the leading money winner for the past 4 years was never a factor at Oak Hill. Watson's frosted putter put 1979's Golfer of the Year on ice. In fact, the pantheon of professional golfers took their best shots, but none was a match for Oak Hill or Jack Nicklaus. Not Slammin' Sammy Snead, who first won the PGA 38 years ago. Not Australian David Graham, the defending champion. Not young lions like Lanny Watkins, the 1977 PGA titleist. Not aging but still accurate past champions like Don January. Or 1969 champion Ray Floyd. not two-time winner Gary Player. Not the 1974 title holder Lee Trevino. Not the 40 PGA club professionals who qualified for the 1980 championship and proved they could challenge the regular touring pros. Yes, Oak Hill and Jack Nicklaus were challenged by the unknowns and greats alike. Legends of the game took part in the lighthearted but informative Past Champions Clinic, sponsored by the PGA. It began with Gary Player hitting trap shots into Lee Trevino's hat.
One of my pet shots is actually...
And Trevino pulling divots out of Oak Hill's plush carpets.
And actually hitting it with a slight fade. It's a very difficult shot to hit with a sand wedge. I hope the green superintendent is not watching.
Past champion David Marr narrated while former winners Jerry Barber and Doug Ford demonstrated that time had not stolen their swings.
Maybe just a little bit faster. Each person has their own rhythm, their own tempo that they use when they play. When you stay back a little bit too much on your right side, you generally hit the ball fat, or you'll cut it.
Additional tips came from Dow Fensterwald and Dave Stockton.
Look whether it'd be better to play a hook or a fade or whatever. If you just, let's say you slice the ball all the time. Play for the middle of the green if the pin is on the right-hand side so that your ball is working toward it. If the pin is on the left-hand side, then you would aim at it and hope that you'd hit it straight. And if it did fade or slice, it'd be in the middle of the green.
And the great Sam Snead showed that the years hadn't mellowed his sense of humor.
They didn't like Hogan. You don't have to call
That was a Hogan ball.
Hit the Hogan ball harder.
John Mahaffey let his club do the talking.
He keeps it in play, and that's why he's always a good player when you're playing courses like an Oak Hill, Oakmont, just name any of your fine golf courses. He keeps it in play with his driver, not so much his six-iron.
And fittingly, the longest club was reserved for Jack Nicklaus.
Most of these people don't go that far on a vacation. You know? Oh, hello.
As a prelude to the championship itself, golf's biggest hitters teed it up for the benefit of junior golf in the finals of Golf Digest's Long Drive Contest, sponsored by the PGA. From hundreds of qualifiers throughout the country, the final field was trimmed to 6 finalists, hitting 3 drives. Scott DeCandy, a professional from Lodi, New Jersey, drilled a 295-yard, 18-inch drive into a 22-mile-an-hour headwind and won the title of the game's longest driver and a $15,000 first prize.
Oh, thank you very much.
On Thursday, August 7th, 146 competitors began the quest for the famed Wanamaker Trophy at historic Oak Hill. 18 holes of natural beauty and danger.
We had 19 different situations today whereby balls entered the hazard. Now, when I say entered the hazard, what we have to keep in mind is where the ball last crossed the margin of the hazard.
any tournament would yield its share of snakes. But what set the scorers apart was their ability to handle the 5- and 6-foot knee knockers. First round leader Craig Stadler rode a roller coaster for 4 days, beginning on Thursday when he put together the day's best round. At one point, Stadler was 4 under par after putting 8 threes on the board. A bogey at 16, which he almost got back at 18, left him with an enviable 67.
Craig Stadler, Lake Tahoe, Nevada, 3 under par, leader in the clubhouse, 67.
Stadler had blazed through Oak Hill, and now he was basking in its glory.
In major tournaments, it seems that Stadler's always up there with a lot of excitement and a lot of red numbers.
Well, it's the idea. I've been playing well and played fairly well today. As I say, I missed a couple bad shots, but I got up and down both times and came out with pars and made a couple birdies after him.
But the name Stadler never returned to the leaderboard, and his 81 on Sunday placed him exactly 23 strokes behind Jack Nicklaus. There were an uncommon number of makeable shots missed at Oak Hill, but it was not due to a tricked-up course. Oak Hill simply demanded that its conqueror play every shot in his bag and play thinking man's golf.
This is a par 4, 460 yards with a dogleg right. Driving
in order to help his individual professional, out-of-town caddies were instructed on the layout of Oak Hill, designed by Donald Ross, the Michelangelo of golf course architects.
Any of the greens at Oak Hill, because the rough is built up at least 6 to 8 inches, and it's very, very bunched together, and it's tough to get a club through
For
there.
this year's PGA, the course had been regroomed by George Fazio and his nephew Tom. The result was an unexcelled championship course Rochester could truly be proud of.
It's tough to judge on how to putt, and the putts read true. Our greens do not have much break.
PGA Secretary Joe Black and Treasurer Mark Kazar were chairman and co-chairman of the championship, helping to ensure a smoothly run event. An advanced team of officials from California's beautiful Riviera Country Club, site of the 1983 PGA, were at Oak Hill to plan for their championship 3 years ahead. But as this year's PGA progressed, out-of-towners and area residents alike had their favorites.
Terry Deal.
Why?
He's my son, number 1.
Local professional Terry Deal was another reason for civic pride in Rochester. Terry's 68, one of the tournament's best rounds, pushed him into the top 10. Yes, the championship meant a great deal to the city.
I think it means an awful lot to not only Oak Hill, but to our community. We're certainly proud of our community, and I think our community is very proud of Oak Hill. And together, I think we are making this a very, very successful event.
This year, it was a record for the number of volunteers involved with the PGA Championship. 1,440 volunteers, which every one of those people was actively involved with the tournament and deeply motivated, we feel, as to running a successful 62nd PGA Championship.
Dick, on behalf of the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America, it is our pleasure to present you with the citation of performance for a job well done.
Golf Course Superintendent Association President Mel Lucas commended Super Rich Bader and his staff for Oak Hill's spectacular condition as a fair test for the world's best professionals. And the course was indeed a fair test, a harsh penalizer of a poor shot, and a generous rewarder for a good one. The same course could bedevil a player one day, but the next day, the same golfer could eat it up. Ed Snead did not break 80 the first day, but came back on Friday with a 68. The opposite was true of Bob Murphy, who shot 80 on Friday after an opening day 68 that had him among the leaders. The pattern continued as Howard Twitty beat Oak Hill's tough bunkers, shooting a first round 68, but lost his touch and slipped to a 74. Bobby Walzell also chipped out a 68 on Thursday before Oak Hill tightened her death grip and choked him into a 76 on Friday. Even defending champion David Graham could not loosen the reins as he pulled up with a 4 over par by Friday's end. As many first-round leaders faded from view, their places were taken by those players who had learned the language of Oak Hill's layout. George Archer's daughter Liz was trying to help her father as his caddy, but her skills couldn't help Archer buy a putt. Liz's experience as a caddy was not one many women shared.
I just do the job that every other caddy does, except it's a little funner for me since it's my dad and all. I started at the beginning of the summer right after I got out of school, and then I've been doing every tournament except the Western.
Papa Archer was skeptical at first, but then he too grew fond of the idea.
My daughter is the second girl to start caddying. There was another girl that started about 6 months or a year before, so that's where she got the idea, I guess, saying, hey.
No, I didn't know about it.
You didn't? Well, when she asked me if she could do it this summer, I said, well, but then I thought about it, so I said, well, we'll try and see how it works out, and it's worked out good. She's doing a good job now. I've had some little razzing from the players, but I don't think she's had much from the caddies.
Following in her father's footsteps, 17-year-old Liz watched her dad shoot opening rounds of 70 and 73, just 5 strokes off the pace. But a bit more consistency would be necessary in solving Oak Hill's fickleness. Through recent years, consistency had been Johnny Miller's problem. And although he did not putt well, his 70-71 left him just 3 shots out of the lead. Curtis Strange was at even par after a 68 and 72, and only 2 shots behind the leader. Following a 68 with a 70, Dr. Gil Morgan's 8-foot birdie putt on 13 netted him a 2 under par after 2 rounds and put him ahead of the entire pack. After 3 days, only 2 golfers were under par. One was Lon Henkel with rounds of 70, 69, 69. Oak Hill was playing tough, and not many knew her secret. The other subpar performer, 3 strokes better than Lon, was Jack Nicklaus, who watched Henkel for 2 days, then spread-eagled the entire field with the tournament's lowest round, a brilliant 66 on Saturday. On the first hole, Nicklaus sent his approach shot 40 feet to the right side of the green, a healthy birdie putt. But Jack was back with his trusty low-flange putter and a tip given to him by his son Jackie. The younger Nicklaus had noticed that his dad was not following through and was pulling his putter to the left. The advice paid off as Jack killed a snake for a bird. Then, on holes 2 and 3, the Golden Bear sent his shots in a beeline for all the honey. By the end of 3 holes, Nicklaus was 2 under par, and his putter had turned pure gold. Playwright George Bernard Shaw had once said, "Youth is wasted on the young." But Jack's son's insight was putting a damper on that philosophy. Wife Barbara had her own simple philosophy about her husband's play.
How do you feel? Well, it's just been a super week. Very exciting. He's played super.
Nicklaus birdie 4, Hinkle par 5, Bean par 5.
Jack breezed through the first 14 holes of play until his game went mysteriously astray. He 3-putted 15 for a bogey. Then he lost touch with his tee shot on 16 as it bounded into a fence and miraculously stayed in bounds. Still, he was able to salvage a par. Nicklaus's lapse enabled Henkel with birdies at 15 and 17 to make up 4 strokes on the last 4 holes. But Jack recovered by the 18th to cast his long shadow over everyone. He would take a 3-shot lead over Henkel and at least a 6-stroke lead over everyone else into the final
Jack
round.
Nicklaus from North Palm Beach, Florida, 4 under par, 66, 5 under par, 205.
The bear had come out of a 2-year hibernation, and it was good to see the grizzled grin return to his face.
We adopted Jack Nicklaus.
Well, it's very nice. I don't understand this much enthusiasm in the game of golf, but I'm delighted to see it come into the game, and I'm delighted that I'm part of it.
Can you ever remember a time where every hole you woke up to, even the practice green, the practice tee, standing ovations?
Well, it's very, very nice. No, I've never been involved in anything like that in the game of golf. Hey, Jakey.
Jack may have stumbled on the last few holes, but he had his reasons.
I thought it was only a 14-hole course, so.
Nicklaus had only taken 28 putts during Saturday's round, and so far, he had handled Oak Hill like a steamroller looking for new turf to flatten. As Sunday's play began, Jack's closest pursuer was Lon Henkel, but Henkel quickly fell away. Playing with the great man himself, he could do no better than a 5 over par 75. Andy Bean, also in the final group, began 6 strokes behind and closed with a 70. Yet he still finished a stroke further back than he started. There would be no dethroning the king on this day. Bean eventually finished second at 281, with Henkel and Gil Morgan tied for third at 283. With Sunday's best round of 67, Tom Watson had made a run and moved into 10th place, but no one came close to catching Jack Nicklaus. On Sunday, August 10th, 1980, Oak Hill rolled out the red carpet for the King. Carrying major championship pressure on his shoulders, Nicklaus actually increased his lead in the round with a 3rd straight subpar score, a 69. Jack played another perfect round on Sunday. His drives cut the heart out of Oak Hill's fairways. Throughout the day, with measured consistency, his approaches were comfortably close and always within range of 2 putts. Any momentary lapses were brilliantly recovered. And when Nicklaus birdied 13 to go 7 under par, the tournament was in. Surrendered 1 meaningless stroke over the last 5 holes. And in the golden glow of an August afternoon, Jack Nicklaus won the 62nd PGA Championship. He had done it with a 6 under par 274, the lowest PGA score ever at Oak Hill, and a record 7-stroke margin of victory. By his own admission, Nicklaus was playing the best golf of his illustrious career, and record crowds had turned out en masse to watch his crowning. At the awards ceremony that followed, PGA Secretary Joe Black lauded Jack Hoff, General Chairman of the tournament, for the work he and his staff had performed.
Our plaque simply says, to the members of Oak Hill Country Club, as a token of our grateful appreciation for their outstanding achievement in helping to stage the 62nd Annual PGA Championship,
Thank you very much, Joe. And I would especially like to thank the PGA for giving Oak Hill and our community the opportunity to host this great tournament. I would also like to be the first member of Oak Hill to extend our congratulations to Jack Nicklaus.
It's been a long time since they've had a championship in Rochester, and I hope it won't be 12 years again before they have another one.
PGA President Frank Carty had the honor of presiding over the coronation for the only golfer who had been able to break par at Oak Hill.
And now the winner of the 62nd PGA Championship, Jack Nicklaus.
Perhaps the Royal Bear had been lying in wait for 2 years, and here in 1980, he awakened with a kingly stretch. It was fitting that in this championship, on the home grounds of Walter Hagen, Nicklaus equaled the Hagen record of 5 PGA wins and retained the crown of the King of Golf. Long live the King.